Hey, this is Notser, and today we're taking a look at the balance changes proposed by Wargaming for 8.0. This is going to include a multitude of ships, and I'm going to talk about the different changes that Wargaming intends to introduce in 8.0. The game in the background is myself and the Tier 9 American destroyer, Fletcher, and the Fletcher is an outstanding ship. It doesn't need any buffs. It's not receiving any buffs. I just want to share the game because it's a nice little knife fight. A lot of torpedo hits, and a lot of situations where we're close. But let's talk about the buffed ships. So 8.0, AA system, commander skills, all of that is getting changed across the board. Aircraft carriers, everything. What is being changed on top of that, the Izumo, Sigma, is going to be buffed from 1.8 to 2.0, which is a nice little buff. Izumo definitely deserves it. It's not an outstanding tier 9. Maybe it will be, with all of the different changes, that plus the penetration, that plus it has improved AA systems compared to the Musashi. Who knows? It might just be the better Japanese Tier 9 battleship. I doubt it, but it is something to consider, and I'm glad the Izumo's getting the buff. The premium Japanese Tier 8 battleship, Key, is getting a reload improvement from 31 to 30 seconds. Very subtle, of course. And the torpedo statistics are changing. Instead of having a maximum range of 6 kilometers, it's going to have 10. The speed has been reduced by 1 knot, not a big deal, for 4 kilometers worth of range. And then the maximum damage went up. So this is a battleship that has a little bit better feeling rate of fire, which is great. And the torpedo systems have potentially more uses with the extra range. Are you going to hit a lot of torpedoes with single launch? Not really. But it's at least available to the player, and you should see more torpedoes spammed, just in general, to get that random strike here or there. It's obviously better than what we had. I don't know if it's good enough, though, to warrant players choosing to purchase the Key over other ships. I don't know that it's there. Now, remember, the Key still has great AA protection, so it's going to be valuable just for that reason when 8.0 comes out and the CV rework is live, but it's a nice little buff. The Japanese battleship Nagato, the Tier 7, is receiving a reload buff. It's going from 32 seconds to 30 seconds. They want this to emphasize the role of the battleship with good maneuverability and reload. Yeah, I'm really thrilled by this change. It has improved reload. I don't know how that is something that is noticeable enough to create an identity from. Having a slower reload is because we want the ship to be super accurate and only fire once every 32 seconds. Okay, that's sure, cool that exists like that, but wouldn't it be better to just have a better experience? And maybe that's what they're going for. So that's great. Nagato getting buffed, not going to complain. The Colorado is getting a Sigma buff. It's going from 1.9 to 2.0. Completely awesome. It has a large gun caliber Tier 7, and to get more accuracy in those gun calibers, you should be able to benefit more from it. The Colorado has always had terrible speed, so it should have a lot of compensation. I'm glad that they're improving the guns as one of those compensations for the horrendous speed. The Battleship Dunkirk, the Tier 6 premium French battleship, is getting a main battery reload improvement. It's going from 28 seconds to 26 seconds, and the reason they feel it's a small gun caliber, making the battleship play better with a faster reload will balance it more appropriately against other battleships of equal and higher tier? Yes, it would. I think it's a ship that deserves it. I don't think the Dunkirk is blowing everyone's doors off, so yes, buff the Dunkirk. British Battleship Hood, the Tier 7 Premium, is getting a Sigma buff. Now, it was initially announced to be 1.8 to 2.0. It's actually 1.8 to 1.9, so it's 0.1 Sigma improvement. But the AP fuse delay is being transformed to a regular standard battleship fuse. So it's just going to feel better. It's going to feel like a battleship. I appreciate that. Is the Sigma and the penetration adjustment good enough to make this ship, completely viable? I don't know. I'm going to guess that it's still going to be on the weak side, and I still don't know what the rocket defensive AA trait is going to look like with the CV rework. I don't even know that Wargaming knows exactly what it's going to look like. That could change, and it probably will change with the new AA system. Maybe this is compensation for that. I don't know. I always felt the Hood needed something, and it never got it. But it's good that it's getting it now. Hopefully it's more fun and enjoyable, and it can fit right in with the Vanguard and the Warspite as examples, Nelson as really powerful, effective battleships for the British. The French destroyer Aigle, the Tier 6 premium, is getting a torpedo range buff. It's going from 7 kilometers to 8. And with this larger window, it should be more effective. It should be easier to have torpedoes actually influence situations. I completely agree. I'm glad that they buffed the torpedoes. I don't know that they need to buff much more on this ship. I'm happy about the change. It feels fair. And, maybe we'll see and notice it whenever the changes do come to life. The American destroyer Mahan, Tier 7, is getting a main battery reload improvement from 4 seconds to 3.3. Despite the fact that the destroyer has one of the best damage per minute statistics at our tier, they still wanted to buff and improve the feeling of the Mayhem. And there's no better way for an American to feel better than to have improved gun systems, because their guns are already outstanding. They are terrifying, they are brutal, and I'm glad the Mayhem received a buff. The Sims also is receiving a buff, the Premium Tier 7 American Destroyer. The range of the short-range torpedoes is getting buffed from 5.5 to 7 kilometers, which is more than enough to conceal your ship. So stealth torpedoing is a possibility with those torpedoes. They also are buffing the long range. So instead of 9.2 kilometer base range, it's going to be 10.5 kilometers. The maximum damage is being improved from 8,500 to 9,600. The reload time is getting a little bit longer, from 72 seconds to 76 seconds. Obviously, having better torpedoes, though, makes up for all of that. And other than the range change, I think the torpedoes are going to work the same, so you can expect to maybe use torpedo acceleration as a way of improving the performance of the long range, getting speed back in them, but not completely sacrificing all of your range. This is a win-win for us, and honestly, since it's the Sims, awesome. It's a premium that definitely could stand to benefit from slight buff in the torpedo department. I'm glad they did that. Obviously, it's an improvement, and they wanted to reward that high-risk, high-reward play that's so prevalent among so many DDs, and extending the torpedo range just slightly so the concealment can be used in concert with the torpedo range. I think that's great. I think it's absolutely wonderful. The Soviet destroyer Ognivoy and Udaloy, the alternative DD branch. This goes with the Grozovoy, who already has received a lot of buffs in the form of consumables. The Ognivoy and the Udaloy are receiving an extra repair party consumable. It's not being added to replace smoke or speed boost. It's an extra, and you're going to get a couple charges based on the tier and the type, and that's great. The heal is absolutely beneficial, and having it baked into the Ognivoy and the Udaloy is a nice step to make them more appealing, always. The Soviet destroyer Kiev is receiving the option to equip repair party or smoke generator. Unlike the Ognivoy, the Udaloy, and the Grozovoy, this is not a and situation. This is an or. So I like that the or is offered. The Kiev, the Tashkent, and the Khabarovsk are all going to have the chance to equip either heal or smoke. However, I feel like smoke is almost mandatory with aircraft carriers and just objective control in general. The Kiev, the Tashkent, and the Khabarovsk, they're outstanding at range. They're very annoying to deal with, but that's just it. They are a range DD, and they can't play the objective as consistently. So I have been in the situation where, it's great that the option is there, But honestly, I'm converting back to Smoke Generator in preparation for not only the CV rework, but just objective control in general. There's not a lot of good decision making, and there needs to be, so I just have to do that. And that's okay. It's unfortunate that this is the first time the repair party has been offered for the Kiev, but maybe in the future we'll be able to leverage that playstyle through whatever, meta that develops. The fact that the option exists and all of these ships are getting buffed is more than enough compensation, and I'm really happy that Wargaming is continuing to improve ships that already exist in the game. Continue to do this, Wargaming. I really appreciate it. We were so close to absolutely wiping that guy out with torpedoes, but the game ends, and, honestly, it was not a half-bad game in the Fletcher. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave in the comments your thoughts on all these buffed adjustments coming in 8.0. I'm super excited to play in the Udaloy and the Ognivoy, honestly, because I think that those ships are just barely not good enough, and maybe this would push them over the top with the heel. I am obviously going to play them all, share my thoughts on it whenever 8.0 is actually out. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.